haunting sound that you cannot ignore. The silent emergency crisis is so deep today in our era that most people are not even aware and conscious what's happening, how people are so disconnected. And that question came in from a beloved from around the world, and I hope she's here. So let's address that question because it's a profound question. What caused the disconnect? And most people are not even aware they're so disconnected. And I asked, can have something to do with, you know, the era we live in. It can be from social pressure to personal trauma. It can be so many things, but it's so much deeper than that. It is so deep that people are not mindful and conscious of what's causing that disconnect. Knowing God is knowing yourself, and knowing yourself is knowing God. And when you know that, there's nothing else you need to know. And that's the absolute truth. And so that deep disconnect comes from not listening to your inner longing, the deep longing of wanting to merge and be liberated and be free. Human beings, we always want to push the boundaries of ignorance and become free. There's always something that's holding us in that cage, and that's what created the disconnect. But there are several root causes, several key elements we're going to look at, and most people are not aware of them. And when you know those key elements, there are about 5 of them, then it will give you more insight and revelation and realization about which one of them in your life that you're not conscious of, what may create that disconnect. And that key element also is the remedy, because when you become mindful and aware of that, then all you have to do is do the opposite of it. And that has been taken care of. But the deep, deep disconnect, it's an emergency crisis because today you look on the planet, I mean, there's an epidemic of depression at different degrees, from mild to anxiety attack to deep clinical depression. And one should not talk about what one has not experienced. And that's a lesson I learned very much in life early on. But I can tell you, I know a little bit about depression and about anxiety, and I can talk about it. And it is beyond psychotherapy, or it's so deeply rooted into our true nature of who we are. And but just to look at it just briefly, one, it's been predicted, actually according to WHO, World Health Organization, they're saying that 1 in 4 people will suffer from mental illness in their lifetime. Can you imagine? Did you hear that? 1 in 4 people? Like what? Look at you. Between the 4 of you, 1 of them in your lifetime will suffer from a serious, some kind of mental illness. She said, no, not her. Good, good, good. She's very determined. And also, if you look at suicide, over 800,000 of people per year commit suicide. Did you know that? It's almost 1 million per year. This is worldwide. And 1 in 15 people will attempt to commit suicide in their lifetime. Can you imagine? So it's telling us there's something very serious about what's happening on our planet. So what is a disconnect? Let's look at it. Let's dissect it. So disconnect is something is not aligned between your body, your mind, your spirit, and your energy. And when those are not connected, aligned, then there will always be a disconnect. And there, I would say so, the majority of people who have a disconnect within, they're not even aware they're having a disconnect. They know something is not right. They're seeking something, maybe sex, maybe alcohol, maybe money, maybe pleasure, or maybe any kind of distraction. And this is where it leads us to the first key element of what we need to pay attention. And I see it everywhere, and it's so obvious, and most people who are caught into this, they're not even aware of it. But before we go that, we're going to take a deep breath together, because I forgot to start it, and I think it's very important. Let's ground yourself. I hope you left your mind at the door. I know you left your shoes and your phone, but everybody left their mind at the front door? Yes, you did? Good, good. So that means no judgment, no self-talk, no feelings of, oh my God, what am I doing here? It's just like, you just be empty, be receptive like a baby, like a child, and just be here. See how it feels to be here, grounded in this existential moment. And for you, beloved online, it's wonderful to connect, have you here with us on our Drinking Bliss Divine Satsang. So please make sure you sit with your spine straight and your hands turned upward, and become mindful of your breath. And look upward a little bit, looking at your third eye, your ajna. And we're going to take 3 beautiful breaths together, conscious breath. Feel your awareness caressing your spine. You bring that awareness going up from the Muladhara, the base root, and go all the way up to your Vishuddhi in your throat. Let's breathe as one being, one soul, one spirit, one heart. Indulge, let go of everything that doesn't serve your highest good. Let's take 2 more. Mindful, conscious breathing. And one last one. My home is now, and now is my home. There's nothing of the past, and there's nothing of the future. So the first key element is, and I'm sure as we delve into this subject, please look within yourself and ask yourself those questions as Devi Ma talk about this. The first one is an incredible amount of sensory impression that is being ingested on a daily basis. Most people are not conscious and mindful and aware how much they ingest. And Gautama the Buddha warned us with that over 2,000 years ago. To be, in those days, can you imagine, social media did not even exist. TV did not exist. I mean, it was like, And he was already mindful and aware of that most people get so distracted by outside world. Or always been in the state of doership, but not being here in an existential moment. Existential moment just means to be here. Be, not do. Be, to be here. Is that familiar with you? All the time, pick up the phone every 10 minutes, looking, answering email quickly, social media. But what I see mostly on this planet now, since we have social media, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not putting anything down. They serve a purpose. Everything in life serves a purpose. The question is, it's always, everything has to be done mindfully, consciously, and with awareness and with moderation. Not to allow an external object to make you a slave, but you are the master of your destiny. You decide consciously if you want to watch a podcast or a video. What I see with the younger generation, or even in older generation, is this constant listening to something. Being in the shower, listening to the news, listening to a podcast, on a walk, instead of walking mindfully away from everything and just enjoying nature and walk really mindfully and breathe mindfully and taking the moment and really experiencing your true nature in this moment. Most people, I don't know the percentage, we don't know that, but I can tell you from my entourage, not just here, but in other places, wherever I go, or even I notice, people have become so addicted to social media. It's constant driving, listening to something. You multitasking. When you multitask, and you do a lot of things of multitask, you can't be present in the moment now. The mind, you're asking too much for your body, your mind, your soul, and your energy to do all at once. What's happening is you start vomiting. What Devi Ma mean by that, you're vomiting everything that was conditioned and accumulated. Because if you are for 8 hours a day constantly listening to something, or even if you're at work, you have meetings, and you listening to a conference, it doesn't matter what it is you're not allowing your soul and your spirit just to be now here, within, with no outside distraction. But I think the invention of a podcast was a phenomenal idea, but I see that people have become very, very addicted to everything. It's like that deep sense of wanting to know, for most people, is on a superficial level. Because what people are really seeking to know is their true own being, their true nature. And that deep longing inside, that is the inner cry of your own divinity. And how can you be in touch with it and experience glimpse of it, of you Satchit Ananda, if you're constantly with your attention outward all the time? If it's with friends, or listening to something that pull you up. So what's happening is an overdose of impression, of sensory impression. They become samskara, they become karmic impression. They also become energy habit. Energy habit becomes compulsion. Compulsion can become addiction. And this is how people fall, especially if your energy is in the lower chakra. It's very easy to turn a sensory impression, over digesting it, I meant, to eventually to become some kind of addiction. And you see that with cellular. Again, I'm not putting anything down. I love it all. We love it all. The question is how, my question to you, beloved, is ask yourself and close your eyes. How much of a master are you over yourself on a daily basis? Do you know when it's enough is enough? I mean, people just, they're in the shower, they're listening to the news. They go to bed, they're listening to a podcast. They fall asleep with a video on. I have seen it, and it has become a malady. The thing is, those sensory impressions, those karmic samskar, eventually become vasana. They become tendency. And then you creating this energy about yourself. What happened also is the subconscious mind absorbed this, right? You're not aware, but the subconscious mind is taking in. It's very easy for the subconscious mind to be influenced by what you're ingesting. And a lot of it, what is ingested, is not very positive. The majority of the time, I would say, what are you listening? Is it something that uplifts you, that create an inspiration to do something great in the world, to motivate you, to do seva, to do volunteering? You have to be very, use your discernment, viveka, to make sure what you're ingesting, it's the right, not only the right amount, but the right food for your soul, for your spirit, for your body. And you need to ask yourself that question. How is it going to impact your spiritual evolution and your consciousness? And so look a moment inside. Look at your life. Are you one of those who are over-ingesting and you're not conscious? Like with a lot of conspiracy theory. I'm not saying, again, it's not a value judgment. It's that you just really have to examine what is your priority in life. To experience your divine nature, your divine presence, or to become a creature of energy habit. And so that leads us to the second key element. And this one, they're all related, right? It's not like one is without the other. The second one is mindful self-talk. That's a big one. For some of you, might be more sensory impression, over-ingestion of sensory impression, but some of you might be just mindful self-talk. What is your self-talk? Ask yourself that question. Are you aware of your mind pattern? What is your mind telling you every day? Are you aware and mindful? Who's creating low self-esteem? Who's creating most of your misery? Are you empowering yourself on a moment to moment with mindfulness and awareness of how you talk to yourself? Or do you hear the voice of the past, of a past beloved, or parents or grandparents? Who's running your show? Or a boss who is mean to you? Do you give power to them? Or you're empowering your soul and your spirit? All of this affect your energy. So this is what you got to see, beloved. Sensory impression, over-injection of sensory impression, and unmindful self-talk will definitely affect your pranic maya kosha, your energy body. It will affect. So that's why I was saying in the beginning, when there is a disalignment, it's with the body, which is related to the heart also, the mind, the soul, spirit, and your energy body. If the subconscious mind is influenced negatively by whatever is happening on the planet, and you are ingesting so much of it, it's inevitable it will affect your vibrational energy field. And it will affect your aura. And so you don't emanate the same way. You're not keeping in a high vibrancy, a high vibrational frequency. It's very easy to collapse. And you beat yourself up. The danger also of an overdose of sensory impression on social media is that unconsciously you start comparing yourself to other people. And you start feeling inadequate. Oh, very often it's unmindful. Oh, this person is so great. I can never do that. And then you start feeling like you're inadequate. You're not good enough. You know, there will always be a more beautiful person. There will always be a greater person. And the truth is, the absolute truth is, everyone is very beautiful. Everyone is very divine. Everyone is a success. It doesn't matter because all of this is relative. It's depending on each person's karma. And so, on mindful self-talk is showing to you that you haven't gained a certain mastery over your own being. You allowing puppet string to be pulled by outside environment, which lead us to number 3, the mana maya kosha, the mental body. Again, it's all related. The mana maya kosha, I don't know if you remember, we have discussed that in past satsang. We talk about that in Becoming the Light, all the different layers that we have in the subtle body. The mana maya kosha is the third one, is the mental body. Most people get stuck there. And often they're not even aware. So if they get stuck there, it's even hard to go beyond, like into the pranic maya kosha or even into the vijnana maya kosha. Vijnana maya kosha is just the etheric body. It's of the beyond. It is the etheric body, where I call it the cosmic mind, where you could tap into beyond physical. Most people never experience that. They don't even know they have that potential. This is where you have mystical experiences. You could see light, you could breathe, smell, ethereal smell, you could have vision of deity, of saint. This is of the beyond. And then after that comes the bliss body, the Ananda Maya Kosha. Most people are not even aware it exists. How can they even experience that? They might have a glimpse in their lifetime of intense joy, but bliss is not joy. It's not caused by an object subject. It's coming from your own nature. Nothing will create that within you. It's self-generated. And so to transcend the mental body is very crucial to gain that mastery, the Maya Kosha. And more important, after that, I would say, is to be aware. Do you get stuck there? Sometimes you say, God, can you just shut up? You're talking to your mind. Just keep quiet. And that's telling you that you have ingested too much sensory impression. Often is the case. Even chat with certain people where you gossip, it will always lead you into low vibrancy. Because it will only, and most of the time gossiping, most people are not even aware they're gossiping. And that is definitely an energy habit that becomes a compulsion. And you see that among people a lot. And so to become mindful of that. And the fourth one is, are you listening to your own divinity? Are you listening to your own inner cry of your soul to be experiencing your true nature, to reconnect and experience your divine presence? That deep longing, and this is the fundamental silent crisis that we see on the planet, is that deep disconnect between that deep longing that we human beings, we all have, but most human beings are not aware of it. And they don't know why they're so miserable, why they're so unhappy, because they're always seeking outside to fulfill what needs to be fulfilled from within. And that longing is to expand boundaries of ignorance and to become one with existence. In yoga, what we call to be in yoke, from Sanskrit, means to be in union with the whole of existence, with our creator, with our source. And that longing, people will do almost anything to bury that longing. They seek relationship, no relationship will fulfill you, ever, to the level of where your own merging and your own appeasing your own longing for your soul to connect with our Creator. It's beautiful love, don't get me wrong. It's one of the most beautiful things, but it's even more beautiful when divine love is there, when you expand it to everyone. That same love for one being, you could bring it to all living beings. Because love is our true nature. It's self-generated. That pleasantness, that sweetness is our own feeling, emotion. Nobody can generate that within. So when we are love and we experience that, we extend that to all of them. This is a sure way to start answering to your own inner longing, to start towards your own enlightenment and liberation. Liberated from, for some of you who are not familiar with what Devi Ma talk about, what we call in the yogic tradition moksha, liberation. We are born to be liberated, to be free from the body temple, because we're not the body, we're not the mind. And this is what it is to be in an existential moment. You can experience that right here, right now, even for a glimpse, even if it's only a glimpse. And then the last one of key element is, too many people on our planet get so caught up and stuck with ego identification, with asmita. They're not even conscious and aware. They constantly identify themselves with the body, the mind, with their socioeconomic background, with their ethnicity, their social gender role, sex role. They can't, or even with their profession. And that is a big danger. How can you hear really the cry of your own divinity if you constantly are locked up into those ego identification? So take a moment now, look at your life, beloved, for you online also. Can you hear the longing within? Are we seeking happiness, fleeting moment of happiness? Ask yourself those questions. What's happening inside? Are you listening to your own soul and spirit? which one of the key elements that you feel that you need to use as the opposite? And that's the remedy. And what Devi Mayi Ma means by that, okay, watch as you go along the day. Is it your self-talk that is detrimental to your well-being? Or is it that you're not listening to your soul and your spirit? That inner guidance telling you something, but you are numbing it. Is that what's happening with you? Or is it that you're identifying too much with some role, maybe your profession, or maybe that you're a male or female? Now, when we look at the remedy, whatever it is, just do the opposite. If you're ingesting too much sensory, but it will require mindful practices. And that's why I always go back to the mindful breath, because you need to train yourself like the Pavlov dog. You know, the experiment, conditioning and stimulus. You need to, this is how you become mindful. Mindfulness here, when it comes to the silent emergency crisis, to expand your consciousness, is, I would say, is the first baby step, is the most important one, because it's an easier one. You don't need to be initiated so much into a Kriya or anything. You don't need to sit down and meditate. You could just start right now. Just baby step, first baby step. Step one is that you stop during the day. You could do it every hour, and you train yourself. You could have a bell, or you could have a gong.
Set your phone.
And you could have your phone. Definitely you could have a bell on your phone. Or you could have some reminder around the house. And each time you pass in front of your reminder, whatever it is, you just bow down and take 6 deep breaths, conscious breathing, and check in with your breath. Where's your breath? This is where it's going to tell you if you're mindful or not, because your breath will tell you. If you stop and you feel, God, my breath is so shallow, you know, and you will know you were not breathing mindfully, you were not mindful. Because before you can be mindful of anything else in life, you got to be mindful and master your breath. That is the ultimate mastery. And when you stop and you check in, where's my breath? Is it nice and shallow and calm? Does it generate a sense of equanimity, a sense of ease? Or, oh my God, I'm so stressed. And this is when you start feeling your emotion and your feelings. You were not in touch with them before, but your breath is going to tell you. The breath tells you everything, because it's the axis, the spine is the axis between the earth and infinity. And this is where you inhale life force energy, intelligent energy. And if you're not connected with it, if your breath is not aligned, then it means your body is not aligned, your mind is not aligned, and your energy is not aligned. And your soul is probably crying, trying to tell you something. So let's take a moment. We'll take a few deep breaths again and listen to the inner cry of your own divinity. See what comes up. Don't imagine anything, just be silent, and just, because most people repress what they hear. They hear it for years and years, but they don't act upon it. And this is how you train yourself also to really listen deep. What is my soul and my spirit telling me right now in this moment? And let go, deep mindful breath. Amrita grew up in the land of samsara. I grew up for a little story. And she was very blissful, very happy. And as she grew up, she felt like her family of origin was not loving her. She felt really rejected, unwanted. And her family fell apart. It's a long story, but I will share it very briefly. And then she madly fell in love with the prince of her life. And she was madly rejected and mistreated and by this love. And even her children, his children, completely rejected her. And she was in her early 30s. And there was so much pain, so much suffering from all this reject, this unwanting. And she fell into the dark abyss of darkness. And she attempted to commit suicide. And she was pretty successful at it, almost, that she almost lost her life. And Amrita, they found her almost 5 days later. She was blue in a coma. And it was a miracle she was brought back to life. And how she came out of it, she had phenomenal spiritual awakening. And she had a near-death experience. And she realized that she really listened to everything, her body, her mind, her soul, her spirit, and her energy, and she aligned everything. And she came to the conclusion that she felt she didn't belong in the world. And that's what was missing her, that deep sense of belonging is so deep. That sense of deep belonging comes from the disconnect with our own creator, with our own source, whatever we may call it by, the divine mother. And then she decided to spend the rest of this life in pursuit of liberation. And her story was phenomenal. One of those rare, extraordinary stories. It was grace of our creator. But the revelation and the realization was so profound that that sense of belongingness is what most people suffer. So through the journey of spiritual awakening, beside the thing we have discussed, is on a relative plane, is people need community. They need support. They need to connect on a deep level. So to bring that into our life is extremely important, beside all the things we talked about. And of course, deep meditation, Kriya Yoga, having a practice and a Sangha where you can grow together, where you help each other, where you love each other without no judgment. And to listen deep to own divinity really means to make the distance from your mind and to become a witness. And that means to be non-judgmental about your own self and not be hard, to be the most loving to your own being and make that distance. Be a witness. So I think we should take some question. Yeah. Any question? Yes,
So,
beloved.
the piece about the self-talk, I know the negative self-talk, I know that that's a deep pattern for me, deep samskara. And it's like once it comes up, it just triggers a whole cascade of however it shows up that day. But it has like a life of its own when it unwraps. And so I'm wondering for something like that, how to skillfully engage in it. Usually I do japa, I do mantra, which helps because it kind of cuts the mind chatter. But I'm wondering if you have other suggestions.
This is the most subtle work and is probably the hardest one, and yet is very easy. You mentioned the word japa, but what I'm going to say is it's a japa, but it's Om Namah Shivaya. What I recommend, and this is the mantra I always give, if someone come and trigger your puppy string, first go back to your breath before anything else. If you can master that, I can almost guarantee you will master everything else. Because this is the subtlest work, and yet it's the hardest. Because it happened in the year now, someone come push your button, right? Basically, it just means they trigger one of your conditioning, one of your puppet string, one of your samskar. Right. One of your samskar that you have, let's say, I'm giving you an example, you feel because of family dysfunction, you have low self-esteem, low self-confidence, you have been abused, but you still carry that wound inside. And if someone come and tell you something and they trigger that hurt inside, and it sounds like the voice of your father or the voice of your grandparent or the voice of your mother, just the tone of voice can trigger in the unconscious mind that reaction. And you're not even mindful of it. So it will be harder in the beginning. But as you start practicing, hey, listen, I'll be honest, it takes off effort. Don't expect you will master yourself overnight. I can tell you it takes lifetime of mastery sometime. It depends on the sadhana you do, depending on your diligence, depending on your self-effort. If you're serious and you say, I'm very determined, I have discipline, I am going to master myself. And it will start from, it's like people who go to church. I'll give you an example. They go to church, and again, all no judgment, with all divine love. I'm just giving an example. It could be in the synagogue, it could be at the temple. It doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with religion. They go there on Sunday morning, and they're all open, and oh yeah, yeah. And then they come out, and nothing happened. They don't put into practice what they heard. That's common, right? You can come to Satsang, the same thing, and walk out the door. Oh, it was a great Satsang. And then tomorrow morning, someone come pull up your string, but you don't stop. And take a moment, go back to your mindful breath. You see what I'm saying? In the beginning might be a little hard. It's okay if you forget it. You could forgive yourself and say, oh my God, that was a big lesson. This person, you don't have to say anything. Say, this person really, they're your teacher. This person really triggers something in you. And oh my God, I allowed my mana, maya, kosha to dominate my inner divinity. You see what I'm saying? And say, okay, I missed this one, but I'm sure not going to miss the next one. And when the next one comes, You might forget it again. And then you'll remember, oh my God, I didn't do my mantra. I didn't stop to return to my divine presence. It's very simple. If someone comes, you close your eyes. You don't have to say anything, and take a couple of deep breaths. And then you could put the awareness on your heart, your nahanahata, and send them love and send them light. And chant Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. You don't even have to say it out loud. You just say it mentally. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. I am home now. You can use Gata, incantation within. I am the Buddha. My true nature is Buddhahood. Buddha just means awakened one. And then you breathe through it. But if you respond to this person, the self-talk will go. Now what you're doing is like you're throwing gasoline. Again, depending on the circumstances, it's not always the same. It depends how triggered you were. It depends if it flare up anger in you. It depends what is the samskar that has been triggered. But what happened with this, and most people don't know, and I can tell you because I have experienced that, and I have worked on that for many, many decades, and that's part of my teaching is because I bring the yogic tradition, but also the mindful, the Zen practices together. They combine the perfect path. One is of samadhi, another one is of awareness. Is that when you become aware and you train like yourself like that, you change the samskar. In that moment, you change it. You become aware, you have revelation. What triggered that? And then you might have a revelation, that reminds me of my mother. I'll give you an example. My mother was very dysfunctional. And she was very angry, very bitter. And I'm not judging her. She had all the right because she suffered tremendously. And she would be, and she worked so hard raising 7 children and running a business and having a father who was not there and not being seen. There's nothing more difficult for a woman, and particularly women, to not be seen by your beloved. And that's also another malady we see today on the planet. Or it could be the reverse too, for a man not to be seen by his beloved. It can be both ways. And she would, to express her discontentment and anger, she would bang things in the kitchen, made noise, and you could feel her energy. She didn't even have to open her mouth. And boy, it triggered things in the family. Just that, the banging, and doing the dishes and the banging, the cooking, and it was like the vibrational field of energy, of anger, of frustration, of misery, of suffering, of hatred, of despair. Talk about a deep disconnect. You know, it was so sad to witness that. And it took a couple of decades to get rid of this. When I left home, I was 18 years old. And I noticed, because I always been very aware and mindful, I think it was already I was, generally speaking, probably born with it, or I was always aware of my witness. So my witness always told me, pay attention. At least I was pretty alert. And what I noticed when I was 18 and I left my home and I started traveling, if I would hear the banging of the putzing and in the kitchen and banging hard, it would jar my whole system. And right away I would see my mother and I would feel her anger. And I became aware of it. I'm giving you a perfect example now how conditioned the mind, the spirit can become in the karmic structure. It was not even the presence. It was just the conditioning from the banging of the pots with the energy and the emotion, what was recorded in my samskar. You see, I'm giving you. And I changed that very early on in my life because I became aware of it right away. And I would go back to my breath and I would change that energy. And it lost its power. What happened is to lose the power of a samskar, of a karmic impression, you got to do what I'm telling you. This is the easiest, the fastest way to start with that. It will bring about a lot of healing and you change the samskar, especially if you bring a japa, a mantra. And I would highly recommend Om Namah Shivaya. You don't need to do it for a long time. You could do it for a couple of minutes until you calm down. And you know, the magic of that is when you calm down, you have returned to your breath and you do the mantra. It's like you take a scissor and you cut the string. And if it happened again, you cut another string. And it will come a time where sooner or later, maybe faster than you might think, that other person has completely, that karmic structure has been changed. There is no power over you. This is how you change that. It can be anything. But it requires a lot of awareness and mindfulness. I mean, wasn't that a great example with my mother? I mean, it was just the conditioning from the sound. I would hear it no matter where I was in the world. If I was in the kitchen in a restaurant, I had to do this because it was like it triggers something so deep inside that I could not take it. And this is, I changed that very quickly. That gave me so much insight about the human nature. And today I can be there to share that with you. So don't overestimate the power of just your breath and conditioning yourself with a mantra. See, the thing also, beloved, is when you do this, not only you changing the karma, you are healing and removing that karma. You processing it very fast. So you get rid of that karma. It's like a purification. Remember, when you go back to your present moment in the conscious breath, mindfully breathe in. It's a kriya. It's a form of kriya. Because kriya, the fundamental of kriya, is just that. Is to work with the life force energy, but with your mindfulness, your consciousness. Feel it, see it. You're breathing in God. Is going in and is going out. And you mindful, and it's caressing your spine. And then you check in with your breath. Your breath will tell you everything about what's going on with your energy. It won't lie to you. Have you noticed when people press your button, you feel like screaming? If you close your eyes and you really pay attention to your breath, you'll be like, your breath will be very shallow. If you have fear inside, you can't breathe anymore. You have a hard time breathing, oxygen doesn't go in. And of course, Kriya. Well, we're talking about a different level here. We're talking about self-realization. So the silent scream of this emergency crisis is here, more than ever. Because 2,000 years ago, at the time of Gautama the Buddha, they didn't have all the distraction we have today. To be here now is such a great gift. See, miracles occur every day, and it's not walking on water. It's walking mindfully and peacefully. That's the miracle today. Even more than probably more than 2,000 years ago. Wouldn't you agree? It's even harder today because we bombard it. We over bombard it. And people get addicted. That's the thing. I will give you one last analogy and we will move on. Maybe there is some question online, but let me just make one last statement. This has been proven statistically. People, I don't know where the research comes, the study, but people on social media will click on a post or on a video twice as much, maybe triple more as much, if it's something negative. If their headline of a video says, Devi Mayi Ma committed suicide, or Devi Mayi Ma committed a crime, I guarantee you my video will become viral overnight. But right now, if we talk about self-realization, enlightenment, I'm just giving an example, you know, it's so true. Or let's say, I'm thinking of another example.
A great one is just PG&E. If you post on what's next door about PG&E, oh my God, the prices are so high. They're just ripping us off. And there'll be 1,000 hits.
That's so true. It's true. People gravitate to negative energy. And this is where energy habit of overload of sensory impression. Conspiracy theory will be an example. I'm not saying they're not true. I'm not saying they're true. I'm not saying anything. I'm not placing a judgment. I'm just giving you an example. During the pandemic, if you say, well, I don't want to go there, but I think you get my point. I don't want to make any statement and to be misinterpreted, but whatever is very negative, let's say the devil walk on earth. Devi Mayi Ma had an apparition of the devil. I guarantee you, we will have million of views on that video. But if Devi Ma had a near-death experience, but she doesn't really say it's a near-death experience. You see, you get my point. But it doesn't matter what is the example. I'm lacking example. I think you get it. It's proven. It's so true. People gravitate and they feed on it. Like when there is a war, like right now with the war, is we're co-creating this world. So if you feed into the negative low vibrancy, please watch that video if you haven't watched it, on the great, I think the emergency call of the Ascended Master. I talk about that, how people feed from low energy and they start gossiping. But by doing that, you're creating more karmic impression, and collectively, consciously, we're creating our reality. So what about if we co-create the most beautiful planet of master? We want a lot of master on the planet. How many of you want to be master of your own being? Can you raise your hand? I see only one person who does not raise his hand. He's giving the thumbs up. What about you, beloved, online? Don't you want to become the master of your own self and destiny? So pay attention. So please share this video with all of you online. Let's take some questions. If you know any beloved who needs to hear that, share that divine satsang with them, and subscribe if you haven't done it. And at the end, we will take one more question, and then we'll do the guided meditation. And at the end, for some of you who watch that later, there is a wonderful video coming up about meditation, demystifying meditation. It's a guide for all levels, and it's really powerful. For some of you don't meditate yet, and we invite you always, every month we have Drinking Bliss. We love it. And every second Monday of the month, check always on the website under Satsang to double check the date. It's rare we change the date, but it happened once in a while. And we have In Presence Divine Satsang as well at the end of the month. You can click under the description or in the comment section and come and join us as via Zoom. And any question online? If for some reason we missed the question, because sometimes they come as the live stream goes, write it down in the comment section, because it's possible we might have missed it as the live stream goes on. Anything? Nothing? Oh.
I have somewhat of an observation, and I'm curious about your thought, because you were talking about what we ingest.
That's the question.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I was thinking that all that negative news that we like and enjoy ingesting, sometimes it's kind of important because you could be naive, or you could be on a trajectory of learning something where you need to read the good and the bad, right? And I thought what was really powerful was when you talked about you know, how it becomes part of you, and like how you kind of absorb it. So, and to just like be able to read some information that may not be, you know, all you know, honey and milk, so to speak, is to be aware of that breathing and to be aware to not absorb it.
That's where it requires mindful tool to put them into practice. But I'm not saying you should not listen. You have to use viveka, discernment, what you are listening, what you're ingesting, and how much. That's very important. Most people over-ingest sensory impression. They're constantly into doership, and they're not making this distance with the witness to listen to the inner spirit, say, this is enough. I had enough. You see what I'm saying? Like war. Of course we need to know what's going on in the world. We need to be aware of actuality. But if you're falling into the trap of constantly feeding from negative talk of news and how they distort the reality, or conspiracy theory all the time, I'm not saying you should not listen. This is where mindful tools become very, very crucial, and viveka, discernment. And as one evolves and expand consciousness, it becomes easier. It's like a baby who learns how to walk. It's the same. The first few steps will be hard. But as you walk from running a marathon or doing a sprint, there is a lap of time, but it requires training, it requires effort to bring back yourself to this present moment, right now. And the reality, there's nothing more than that.
Well, I think about the younger generation, you know, because I have young kids, and I see them absorb, because bad news sells, right? Like you said, the clicks are much higher.
Oh, it's rampant in the younger generation.
Right, so
Yeah.
they're collecting all of this information, but they don't have the wisdom or a teacher like you.
But that's why they need to be brought on the spiritual path. The younger generation, did you know, beloved, that the fourth leading cause of suicide among 15 years of age to 29 is suicide? The fourth leading cause of death between 15 to 29 is suicide. This is very serious when you think about, because at 30 years old, it's a fundamental age where most people, they can fall into a depression. It's a crucial age because out of a sudden you have done a first circle of sun, and out of a sudden is you bombarded by your karmic structure. And it happened to this one. I see it everywhere. The people who need the most help is in the younger generation, is in their 30s. And either they suffer from anxiety attack, some kind of depressive mode, or clinical depression. It's very common. And of course, it will have, this is how it starts. You're not listening to your own inner spirit, your soul. If you're not, then it's going to affect your mental body. It will affect your mind. They're connected. Those two are the same. And then it's going to affect your energy, your pranic body. And so, of course, you will be out of alignment. Of course, you will be disconnected. Most people on the planet are disconnected. And I would say a good majority of people who are disconnected, they're not even aware of it. They have that deep need of that sense of belongingness. That's why people commit suicide. They don't feel like they belong. You know, a sense of belonging is a sense of expansion, of consciousness, is a sense of embracing everyone as yourself, and it's a sense of experiencing your true nature. Even if it's a glimpse of it, at least it feeds your soul. And then you want more. And then you get thirsty. And as you get thirsty, you become a little bit more open. And as you become a little bit more open, you become a little bit more receptive. As you become a little bit more receptive, you become a little bit more vulnerable. And then suddenly, whoops, your gate start opening. And then the mind drops. And then when you make that distance between your personality, what you are accumulating, you allowing the divine to come in. This is how grace comes. I can tell you. I'm a walking embodiment of that. So, I'm inviting anyone online. I'm for a very short period of time, I'm doing, it's a rare opportunity doing exploration guidance on Zoom. It's complimentary, it's only for 30 minutes. You can come, exploration guidance, you can ask some deep question. Also, if you have any question on our program as well, they may be answered. And I'm offering that for a short period of time. So if that speaks to you, you can click on the link there. It will be posted later, probably by tomorrow. So if anyone does not have more question, the reality, you see, all those questions, all of that is only to open you gate a little bit more. Because if your gate was open, we could just all sit here and close our eyes. I would not have to say anything. And you would experience it. But the talking is just to open the window. Is the window open? Lulu? Is your window open?
Pretty open.
Good. She looks so cute with her hat. That's good. Because when all the windows open, the gate of your temple is open, you just allowed the divine to come in. The rest is easy. So let's do our guided meditation. There's nothing online, right? No? Let's see. Before we do the guided meditation. Okay. It's possible we miss it. If we miss it, write it in the comment section. Would you look in the comment section?
Yeah, I checked it.
Okay, perfect. So make yourself comfortable in Shavasana. You can use pillow, move, you can move the, how do you call that, the back jack. And just enjoy the ride. It's okay if you fall asleep. Your subconscious mind can hear everything. You can come up front, beloved, you can come up front and just move things around so there's space for everyone. Mitchell, if you want a pillow, you can use a pillow also. And for you online, just be in a corpus pose, is Shavasana. You turn your hands upward. Make sure you have, if you have a sensitive back, put a pillow underneath your back. Put your earplug and close your eyes and just give yourself into it. Lauren, would be preferable if you let your legs down. You can use a pillow underneath.
Oh, I'm good. Thank you.
Lot of pillow there. Comfortable. Meditation will, you need to fall asleep.
Maybe, do you want one? Here.
Yeah, you can use a pillow for you also online. If you have earplug, make sure you put your earplug. It will be a completely different experience. So we need the music. We will lead you into a guided meditation on your third eye. We will work with the blue pearl and put your hands on the side like you dead right now. I mean your body, because that is, there's no beginning, no end, there's no death. Take a deep breath. Turn the music a little bit louder, beloved, thank you. If it's too loud, the music, please let us know. Take a deep, deep breath and tense every muscle of your body temple. Make a fist, tight, 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 tight. Make a fist, tight every muscle. And then let go completely. Take another deep, deep breath. Make a fist, dance everything. Your life is counting on it. Dance, 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 dance. Like your life, count on it. Ooh! And then let go. And the last one. Take another deep breath. Dance, 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 dance. Let go completely, completely. see yourself walking barefoot on a white sandy beach. And it's summer, and it's towards the end of the day. The sun is starting to come out, it's very warm. Feel the sand underneath your feet. And the water is caressing your feet as you're walking mindfully and gently. And you feel that warm breeze caressing your cheek and your hair. And you see the palm trees swaying in the wind. And you're walking mindfully and gently. And all of a sudden, you feel like laying down on the sand. You want to feel the gentle wave of the ocean. And you're sitting right at the border where the water is coming in. You're right on that white sand. And you're mindful of your breath. You're so calm and so at peace. And dawn is starting to come. And the breeze keeps caressing your hair gently, caressing your soul and your spirit. And out of a sudden, your body is starting to dismantle. Little by little, see every particle of your body temple dismantling. It starts with your feet. The cells of your body are dismantling. And as you're dismantling, slowly and slowly the wave is pulling you into the ocean of divine love. And you've been pulled into this magnificent ocean, crystal blue. And your thigh, your ankle, your knee. See all the particles, the cells of your body temple going into the water. Your hips, your reproductive organs, your intestine, your gallbladder, your liver, your kidney, your hands, your arm, your lungs. See them all dissolving into the ocean. They're like white particles filled with bright, pure light of our Creator, of the Divine Mother. And your heart, your breath, your skeleton, everything is dissolving. One by one, see them dissolving. There are pure white light cells dropping into the ocean of divine love. Your neck, your circulatory system, your lymph system, your skin, your throat, your gums, your jaw, see it, your cheek, your eyes, your nose, your brain, your tongue, your hair. Everything is dismantled about you. And the last particle of your heart, the only thing that hasn't dissolved is your third eye. The third eye is the cosmic mind, the access to the beyond, to the beyond the physical. Hold in front of your third eye a blue flame, a blue pearl. See it. Even if you don't see it, imagine a white light with a blue flame. It's like a pearl. It's the divine universal light of consciousness, that pure consciousness of our creators, of our creator, of the source. And as you hold it, penetrate it with your own consciousness. Go in that blue pearl, in the blue flame of awareness. And as you penetrate it, see that blue light forming a deity right in front of your eyes. The deity of your joy, whoever may come first. It can be anyone. It can be an ascended master or a teacher. Any deity, any of the ascended master. Let it materialize in front of you. It doesn't matter the form, because within that form is the source. That blue pearl, that blue light, that infinite pure consciousness, that divine universal consciousness takes billions of different forms. See one of your choice right now, made out of a blue light, electrical blue. Now penetrate the heart of your divinity. Fly right through in the heart center where the shrine is. calm and repose. Within that divinity, you merging as one with your own divinity and the Creator. Bring to your consciousness Shree Sanskalpa, an intention. See it in front of your eyes with the blue light of awareness. Materialize what you want to co-create right now. See it in details. Feel it as if already accomplished. And then bring the second intention. Reinforce it. See it, it's already done. Feel the bliss and the joy inside your heart. And then bring the third one. Now reinforce them within the shrine. You realize you are that divinity. You can co-create right now in this moment with that blue pearl, that blue flame of awareness right now in this moment. Reinforce the first intention. And then bring the second one. And the third one. Now, with that realization that you are that divinity, now you have become, and you always have been, now you can fly free through time and space. See yourself traveling through time and space. And of the beyond. Feel your consciousness that you are everywhere in the cosmos, in every particle of this manifestation. And slowly, your consciousness is holding the blue pearl right into your third eye. That infinite, divine, universal consciousness, that is a pack seed that has the whole cosmos, everything, all ascended master, the source, God, whatever we may call it, all of creation. And little by little, your consciousness is rematerializing your body temple. See like a swirl of divine light energy coming back, pure consciousness rematerializing a new body temple, a new skeleton, a new circulatory system, lymph system, a new heart, pumping new blood, new lungs, breathing the life force energy, new kidney, new reproductive organs, new intestine, new liver, new bladder. You're rebuilding every muscle, every bone into your system. A new breast, new eyes, a new brain, a new mouth, new gums, new teeth. New knees, new arms, a new garment, a brand new garment, new hair, new reproductive organ, and you gently, gently floating in this vast, infinite ocean of divine love. And you feel your new body temple made out of light, rocking gently, floating on the surface. And you gently, slowly coming back to the shore. Take your own time, take your own time. You may turn on your right hand side. Gently, gently come out of it. And for you, beloved, online the same. Just you can turn on your right hand side. Take your own time, no rush. And feel how your body temple feel. And your soul and your spirit and your energy. Dwell in that moment right now, no rush. Yeah, the bladder might be screaming, right? Take your time. When you're ready, you can turn on your right and gently rise up. And you may sit, and we will conclude this beautiful evening together of soul and spirit and one heart, one being. Any question online? Okay. Namaste, beloved. Thank you for your support for all these years and online. We love you. Namaste.